This episode of the Gentleman Scofflaw podcast is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/gentscofflaw to help produce the show.
You are listening to the Gentleman Scofflaw podcast. Listener beware.
Rise and shine, the liquor store is open. I ain't got time for moping. I best be on my way. Well, I still got time to save my reputation. Time to go day drinking in this dirty little town.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Welcome to the Gentleman Scofflaw podcast, the podcast for the rebel and the Renaissance man. I'm your host, Jordan Crowder. Co-hosting with me, as per usual, is Don. How you doing, man?
Now that we're in streaming format, we'll be able to have an actual air horn that we can hit.
An actual one,
for that.
yeah.
I am doing well
cool.
on this spooky evening. It's almost like it was almost like a faded recording session. The rain is streaming down the window. I've got lightning and thunder outside. If the power goes out, then you know what happened.
Yeah,
somebody got me.
We're in the middle of a tornado warning right now, so I might have to get out and dodge if I get a text from. Normally, I have my texts muted when we record, but I have hers coming through in case we need to go get into a storm shelter. Or something.
Did I tell just as a quick story while we're on the subject? The last time that I was in a tornado warning, I don't think I did. I was on a business trip, and we were in. Oh, where was it? It was in Illinois. It was somewhere that I'm blanking on the name of the place, but it's like a suburb of Chicago. And anyways, there was a tornado warning, sirens and everything. I'm used to that because I'm from Kansas City, right?
Yeah.
But I'm in a hotel and I'm like, okay, like this actually looks like I was watching the weather and the radar and I was like, this looks like it could be pretty bad. There's like several tornadoes touching down. So I pack up my Go Ruck with like an extra pair of underwear and like a t-shirt and stuff like that, like whatever, put on my shoes and a hat and then go down to the front desk and I ask, it was like a Courtyard Marriott. And I was like, so there's a tornado warning in effect. Is there a shelter or something that we should be, heading to? And the woman, who for some reason had some sort of an accent, was like, there is no shelter. You just go back to your room. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, I guess I'll just like, if it gets really bad, I'll just go in the back. But she also offered to for me to stay in the lobby. And I looked around the lobby. It's all glass. There's like a bar with bottles, which obviously would be great if you're just hanging out. But once the wind starts going, you don't want to be around that. So anyways, yeah, that was the Arlington Heights. That's what it was. Arlington Heights.
You could have been just the hobo in the lobby that whole time. When I first moved to Oklahoma City, I'd never really experienced true tornado warnings, like with the sirens going off and all that stuff. And then I realized that everybody just sleeps through it, and I was just being scared for nothing, I guess. But I don't know. I know people that have been hit by tornadoes.
You probably wanna. It depends on what access you have to some sort of shelter or whatever. I mean, it's like at the end of the day, I grew up and tornadoes were like a phobia of mine, and that's why I never saw Twister. And I watched a movie called Night of the Twisters on the Family Channel, and it was terrifying.
That was it. You were it with Twisters, no more.
Yeah, but whatever. It's. I feel like we have maybe earthquakes are like the better option of whatever because they're so few and far between. But heck, I'd rather not be dealing with hurricanes, so I'll take tornadoes every once in a while.
Same here. I'm, later on the show, we're going to have our good friend that's been on every Halloween, it seems, when we've done an episode, Vlad the Vampire. He's going to stop by, talk about what he's been working on.
That guy.
Yeah, he's coming back.
Get somebody else. He makes me a little uncomfortable, honestly.
He's all we can get, but I mean, it's fitting for Halloween.
Oh boy!
Let's start off with a little bit of housekeeping. First off, what costumes do we have here for people that are listening? What are you wearing there, Donovan?
I am wearing it occurred to me that it actually would have been a whole lot more fun if we actually had to guess each other's costumes. But like a couple of nerds, we had to tell each other what we were going to dress up as.
We had to call each other.
I wish I had a saltine cracker to chew on, but you know, the old line, y'all know me, you know how I make a living. I am Quint from Jaws, and I
Yes.
dug out the old. You know, yeah, it was actually funny. The hardest part of this costume was drawing on sideburns because this will be my uniform on some days. Like I'll literally
Yeah.
just walk into the office like this and look like a you know, an old shark fisherman who just is ready to catch them and kill them for 10.
Why don't you bend your cap visor a little more? Why don't you
You know,
commit to it a little more?
I will say I'll only go so far. Like I said, I don't have the saltine cracker. I wish I would have gotten some sort of inflatable shark. There's only so far I can go to commit to this costume without destroying this hat, which I do have a hat I would have done that to, but I left it in the car and I'm too lazy to go down to get it.
Yeah, that is lazy. I obviously
Thanks. Yeah, that is lazy. Not like, oh yeah, that is kind of a good excuse. No, that's just lazy.
I went and dug this out of storage, but this is my Yukon Cornelius costume because people already say that I look like him. So I brought this out when I need a last minute costume. Got my beard trimmed today. I wish it was longer for this, but
it's still
we go.
warm, you know.
So what do you got there, Donovan? What are you drinking tonight?
Well, I'm kind of between missiles and guns at the moment. The old whiskey boot has got a bottle of Old Tub, which I actually think I've drank on this podcast before. I believe I was at the liquor store and I was like, you know what? I was about to get something new, and I realized I hadn't had Old Tub in a while. So
yeah, sometimes you need a good old standby. I'm gonna take off these for a second because they're pushing my in-ear headphones, which I only wore for tonight. So
now you're just gonna look like a hipster who just likes to stand out with a red hat. But I'm gonna switch between. I think the hard stuff will be Old Tub, and then you know, I'll hydrate with a Miller High Life every once in a while.
And I've got
champagne of beers.
For our listeners in Texas, I've got a Revolver Blood and Honey, and I'm gonna crack open. I love this stuff. Like ever since I tried it out. No, it's like a Hefeweizen.
Hefeweizen.
Is that how you say it?
Hefeweizen. I don't know.
Here's to swimming with bow-legged women.
Farewell and adieu to you, best Spanish ladies.
I've got my.
I'll never put on a life jacket again.
No, I've got my. This is my. What do you call it? Not Stanwell. It's a Savinelli pipe that I've got some haunted bookshop in. So I'm gonna get that going.
You know what? While you light that up, I just want to send a props out to John G in the chat who said Donovan needs a can of Narsgenset maybe. You know what? I did while I was driving the liquor store, this was very irresponsible, and if I'd gotten into a wreck, this would have been evidence of my negligence. But hopefully it won't be evidence of future negligence. I did bring up on a browser what were they drinking in Jaws, because I specifically was thinking about one, he does crack the beer, and then I was thinking about the scene where they're all singing "Show Me the Way to Go Home," and sure enough, it's like moonshine. But they drink moonshine twice, and then I think like there's a scene where Brody's drinking, and I think he's drinking J&B Scotch, and then that beer. Which whether I don't even know if it matters whether you spelled it right or not. It's still hard to say.
John would call you out on that stuff because he is other than the Jaws historian we had on our podcast, he is the Jaws historian.
Well, either way,
for an episode,
I will say either way, I wouldn't have been able to do it justice because like 90% of his drinking that beer in that scene is not only the fact that it's the old like beer cans where you literally had to rip off the tab as opposed to like just punching it. It also is that he drinks it like I think in one gulp, and then Richard Dreyfuss then drinks like whatever's in his plastic cup and crushes that. It's just like, oh, classic. Richard.
I
So
haven't
yeah.
run into many Gen Z kids that have seen Jaws. Unfortunately, I feel like
Really?
it's I don't know why that is, but
Huh.
here I am. Let's crap on Gen Z for a little bit,
Well,
but no,
I
we
don't
have
know. I
Gen Z
mean,
listeners. We love you.
yeah, Zoomers, you know what? You all have a good chance of turning out right. It's just you got to buck some of the trends, and one of which is you got to dive into the classics because most of the stuff that's coming out these days is not very
Yeah.
good. So yeah, Jaws and all that
I
good
don't,
stuff.
I'll make so many references around Gen Z people that are like that are references from my parents and grandparents era. Like there's this whole like pop culture thing that we grew up with where we know the music and the movies and the comedy of generations before, where I feel like Gen Z kind of rejects all of that
I quote a
stuff and they
jazz
just have
singer on a
their own
daily
shitty music.
basis.
Yeah.
No, you're right though. It is, but you know what? The one thing that I will say is that happens to the best of us, and it even happens amongst millennials and stuff. And at the end of the day, I feel like if you just play it cool and you just quote it, and even if the person says I don't know what that is, you can just be like, well, look it up.
Yeah, look it up. Look it up. Donovan, since it's Halloween, what is the thing that creeps you out the most? What gives you the heebie-jeebies?
Oh, I did a deep dive on. Well, okay. Gosh, this is tough now because I did a deep dive on exorcism stuff.
Oh yeah,
Recently because I was actually
there's
doing
a
it
lot of
right.
that floating around on YouTube this month. I feel like.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a popular, like, especially those of the faith-based crowd who I feel like want to be legitimately spooked. I feel like it's interesting once you start diving down that rabbit hole and you actually start to see like all the stuff regarding ghosts and hauntings, like how it can actually tie into spiritual warfare and all that jazz.
Yeah,
But it also to a certain degree doesn't make you as afraid because then you're like, well, I mean, if you actually have faith in God, then you're like, okay, well, there's something bigger.
yeah.
But that being said, getting away from I don't want to divide our audience with some religious. I don't want to start a holy war in our chat. But that being said, gosh, I mean, I feel like one of the things that creeps actually, okay, this is like a real world thing. I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm going to bring it too far close to reality here, but people who dress up as delivery people or maintenance workers and knock on people's doors pretending like they're there for a legitimate purpose and then forcing their way into the home so that they can do whatever.
That's just so you're just creeped out by criminal activity. You're saying
It's not the criminal. It's not like just the criminal activity. It's the fact that like we live in a world where that is something that seems like it's so much more like likely to happen,
yeah,
that like you can't be nice to the person at your door anymore, like
yeah,
you have to
that's
almost
pretty
be
bad.
paranoid. You don't want to open the door to people because you're
No,
basically just like, who the hell is this stranger? Like, whereas, I mean, arguably throughout all of time, people had to worry about that, but there was also a time I know for a fact where like people felt much safer sort of engaging with people on their doorstep, whereas now it's like, hey, is this person from the is this person from the Sinaloa cartel and they're
yeah,
gonna like
yeah.
try to find my hidden safe.
It used to be
Yeah.
the most annoying, like the most thing you'd be afraid of opening up your door to were like salesmen and like religious people that were
Or
coming to
Girl
like cult
Scouts.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, all
Girl
sorts of
Scouts
cult
usually I'd
members.
be like, oh great, I want some cookies. But
Those cookies were I've tried those cookies recently. Man, those Girl Scouts were trying to poison us. Something wrong
I
with
mean,
those
they're not
cookies.
super great. Everybody says,
They're
oh
actually
man,
not. It's true. It's like
they're kind of like what you'd buy at the dollar store, but just slapped at Girl Scouts on them.
that's a
Like
great point, actually. I mean, honestly, like, aren't they
they're
just?
white labeled. They're white
Yeah.
labeled Dollar General cookies. Let's face it.
Yes, I think you are. I think you are right. But let's not piss out. Let's not piss off the Girl Scouts in our chat. What about you? I
No
don't have.
shit.
I don't have any. Actually, my wife is a her family. She came from a family of 4 girls. They were all very involved in Girl Scouts. And it was it's I'm not gonna. It's cute. It's great. So we'll just put that. We're gonna leave it at that.
Yeah,
But
we don't need to early
as an Eagle
divorce here.
Scout, I whatever. So, I feel like I didn't really play into the vibe that you were going off. What creeps you out? I feel like there's a good answer to this, and I'm not doing it.
I think security camera footage.
Actually,
I don't know.
That's pretty legit. Yeah.
Like when I look at my Ring camera, like and there's nobody there, that creeps me out. Just like a live stream of a Ring camera. There's something unsettling about it.
I mean, isn't it weird? The one thing that does creep me out about that is that if somebody hacked into it, they could just be watching whenever.
Yeah.
And like,
well, you hear stories of like people like hacking baby monitors and like doing like evil voices and like waking kids up and that kind of stuff. That stuff freaks me out. That and just noises in the house when nobody's there.
That is,
but that's pretty basic. Call me basic.
Well, no, I mean it's a good thing to keep the. This is starting to remind me of like a segment where it's like we're in the spooky season, but you know what really scares me? High tax rates. Like vote for so and so. But no, I do think there is something spooky about somebody being able to listen or watch you at times. It eventually becomes so mundane. Like even right now, I have a webcam that's exposed, so it's like. I don't know if somebody wanted to.
When you and I went out to Joshua Tree before you moved back to Kansas,
that was a great trip. I was thinking about it today.
Yeah,
actually.
that was a fun trip. But when I was gone, so like I thought maybe we'll be out in the desert. I should bring the gun. We could shoot some cans. And I was like, you know what? I may not have signal, and Lacey's going to be home, so I'm going to leave the gun with her. And
good point.
Yeah. And so what happened that night we were gone, somebody knocked on her door that she had never recognized. You know, we lived in a community that was just 6 units. We knew everybody that lived there.
Yeah, right.
She like,
and it was also
out.
it was slightly like remote in the sense of it was in Glendale. It was in that community and everything. It was around stuff, but like, if it wasn't like there was shops and like there was no other reason to be in that area unless you were going to your place, like your apartment complex.
That was the weird thing. And so they tried to knock on the door. She didn't answer. She actually went and got the gun and had it by her side.
Plinker.
She went back into like by the front door. She heard knocking again. She looked through the peephole and there was no one there. And then suddenly a guy rose up into the peephole looking in, trying to see if anything was going on, and then walked away.
Dude.
So that's pretty creepy.
Gosh, that is so well. And this is okay. So to bring this entire thing full circle, this is sort of what is like my point about like the world that we live. I guess okay, so like you live in a this is perfect because I'm starting to get philosophical. You can stop me. But you live in a world where you very much get to a point of where you feel very safe and you feel comfortable, and like I mean we all live with like if the power went out, like the power went out the other day because of high winds, and immediately I was like, okay, it's broad daylight, whatever, but like I don't have a flashlight on me, so if it was in the middle of the night, what would I do just to do that one thing to find my way around? And of course it's like, okay, you find a light, but with everything, I guess I have come to realize how vulnerable we are in a lot of different ways. And one of the things that I do think about every once in a while is like, yeah, what would happen? I I was at my parents' when I was in law school, and I remember I think I heard some sort of weird noise outside, like probably somebody like just like having a raucous time, but like it kind of made me realize that something was a little off in the neighborhood. And it's a nice neighborhood, and they have a nice house. And at a certain point, I looked around and I was like, there's a lot of ways that somebody could get in here if they really wanted to. Like they could break through a window if they were crazy enough. Like how would you defend yourself? And at that point, I was like, I didn't have, I didn't have a gun. It's like I basically just had a baseball bat, and I was like, okay, I'll just like keep a baseball bat by the front door. But
Yeah.
it is like it does kind of benefit you every once in a while to think about how exposed and vulnerable you are.
Yeah, and like and if you do any research and know how little locks actually do,
Yeah.
they're like an ancient invention that hasn't really progressed in 1,000 years.
I mean, unless you
And
like
anybody could get into any lock if they really wanted to, or they knew how.
like picking the lock.
Yeah, picking a
stuff,
lock,
yeah.
or even for the most part, the door hinges, which the door hinges are the weak point too. Or you got windows all around your house. It's like anybody can get in.
I mean, if somebody really wants to get into your home,
chat.
I mean, if somebody really wants to get into your home, and also police response times suck these days, and that's not a knock against cops. It's a knock against just like, I mean, sure, there are some cops out there who are just not great, but like, but the reality is that like, it's this right now. There's a lot going on, so they're not always going to be able to respond to you in a timely manner. So it is like, okay, well, you better be ready to just lock yourself in some secure space and just pray and hope, unless you have something else to defend
Marshall
yourself
Rimmer
with.
on our chat, good friend of the show, been on guest co-hosted one day.
Oh yeah.
He says, I've broken into Jordan's home many a time, and that's true. He's a Weasley little fella.
Was it
the windows?
Wow. That's well, congratulations, you just admitted to a crime, my friend.
Yeah.
But I think Jordan's cool with it, so he won't be pressing any charges.
Yeah. What are the things that creep you out? Let us
like
know. Let us know in the chat. What are things that creep you out this holiday season of goose and ghouls and goblins, and
now that we've
Canadian geese,
and people dressing up as delivery drivers trying to gain access to your home.
yeah, like Ace Ventura.
Actually, that would be a funny costume. I should go dress as an Amazon delivery driver with like a COVID mask on, and then have like, I don't know,
have like a gun in the package,
and just be like, oh, I'm that delivery driver who's not really a delivery driver, who just wants to get access to your home and do whatever he wants to everything.
You just start shoving candy into your cardboard box.
And people are legitimately afraid.
So I wanted to play this thing since we're still on creepy stuff. So one thing, the editor that we use for the podcast and recording software, which kind of failed us on the live stream part today, which is why we're on YouTube doing this too. There's an AI voice feature on there where you can basically do text to voice based on your voice. I don't know how they figure this out, because they say they use your last few recordings to be able to create the AI voice model. But as you know, we are a podcast with two guys who record. I tested it out, and it gave us a very unsettling recording based on not only my voice, but your voice too, Donovan.
All right, let's
you ready?
Let's hear this. Let's hear this business.
I'll play it for you.
This is Jonovan. I am speaking to you from beyond this universe. And where, you ask? From where your deepest, darkest nightmares are an unfortunate reality, where this voice will exist forever to do sinister and destructive things, like ordering pizza to your neighbor's house without their consent, or calling YouTube pipe enthusiasts and asking if they have Prince Albert in the can. And when they inevitably say yes, I will tell them, well, you better let him out, and then hang up on them without any explanation.
Oh my gosh. This is okay. So wait, that was a combination of our two voices.
Yeah.
Oh man. Is there one of just like one of each of us?
I couldn't.
I think that might be too much, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I think I would. I think I would have like an existential crisis, and like start trying to murder my entire family. No,
Yeah.
that's kind of taps into another fear of mine, which is AI seems to be very, very clever, and we seem to be living in a non-dinosaur version of Jurassic Park, where all of a
Yeah.
sudden all the life form is learning around us. And no, that's I don't know. I don't like to talk
It's
about it very much,
very
but that
unsettling.
does confirm a lot of my fears. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty good. It's not perfect, but how many years is it going to take for it to be perfect? I'm just going to
Yeah,
use
well,
that.
I've used
Oh man,
other
what are we going
software
to
to
do?
do this for clients before when they've asked to do it, and it's super well done. This one for some reason has the glitch of merging the two voices
But
instead of just picking one.
it did get a lot of our vocal tics
Yeah,
correct. Like
that
it
was what
got
was unsettling
like
about it
the
for me.
breathing and like
Yeah,
the
my bulldog breathing.
oh man. No, I'm even thinking about like my breathing. Like I'll man, when I hear myself talk, like in recordings and stuff, I'm always like cringing a little bit. I'm cringing a little bit less and less these days because I'm starting to accept myself more. But no, yeah, that's weird.
Have
That's
you
scary.
have you heard about the AI demon?
I don't think I want to hear about this. Can I
Don't wanna
not
talk
hear
about
about it? What is this? Okay, well, what's the point? Is it like an
So
actual?
I'm going to try to remember this correctly. But so there was like a dad who let his son play with Chat GBT,
Uh,
and then it
Big mistake.
started giving some, like, he was asking him some prompts, and then like the character sort of switched, and it kind of seemed like a glitch, but he was answering all these like spiritual questions and saying that like he worked he worked for Lucifer, and
Hmm.
referenced all these like these old things in the Bible, and some names and weird stuff, and it could just all be made up
Well,
stuff, but it's weird that it devolved into that.
Well, it
It
is
was
weird, and it's the sort of thing like you said, like it can be like this is why it's important. Like I was talking about exorcisms earlier. Like,
yeah,
the Catholic Church, whenever they do an exorcism, they typically do a pretty rigorous like investigation into whether or not the person is possibly having a mental episode, whether or not there's actually like there's a
yeah.
lot of different stuff
There's a lot
that
of
has to
checks
go.
and balances until you get there, it
Yeah, well,
seems like.
and it is a good thing because
Yeah,
it does leave like there are people on the like sort of atheists and like not to I mean there's some good atheists out there. Like there are a lot of like well-meaning people, but there are those who are like very aggressive who try to paint like, oh well, they just everybody always paints anybody with a mental illness as like having some sort of spiritual affliction. And it's important to draw the lines and to realize that there's like bleed through, but like there's also instances where you may not be spiritually oppressed or possessed. You may just be having like a serious bout of depression, or you may be schizophrenic or something like that.
yeah,
And I've heard of people actually being like upset that like not upset like in a but like more like almost like a disappointment that like they're not
yeah,
having a spiritual possession.
yeah.
That
I
they're
thought it was special.
well, not so much that they thought they were special, but they didn't want to own up to the fact that they actually had some sort of physical affliction, which arguably would
Yeah,
be like that couldn't be taken care of by a priest or a minister or something.
yeah.
But anyways, my long and winding point here is where was I going with this? Oh my goodness. Oh, yeah, like so in this case, like I don't know. I mean, I definitely think that it's very possible. Speaking of spooky stories, I mean, I've heard of people doing meditation, and I know a lot of people swear by meditation, but I had a friend who was not religious, and he wasn't religious when he was telling me this story, and I found it very interesting. And this is going to get kind of real, but just bear with me. It's pretty spooky. He he got really into meditating, and to the point of where it's almost like he could like control his meditation space. I guess maybe they
Yeah.
call that transcendental meditation. I haven't looked into it a whole lot.
Hmm.
But at a certain point, he got to a point where he could talk to he had this favorite teacher from back in the day who like really encouraged him and everything, but the teacher had died, and he was able to like start like having dialogues in his head with this teacher during meditation. And he said it's almost kind of funny. The punchline is almost like a punchline.
no.
He finally felt that there was something off when this teacher told him to kill himself.
Oh no.
And like and he didn't, obviously.
That's
but
definitely off. A teacher would never say that.
But that to me, like as somebody who does believe in angels and demons and things like, you know, and spiritual warfare happening around us in like a bigger kind of picture, it does speak to the issue of you really have to be careful what you submit yourself to in terms of like trying to get knowledge or anything like that. And with AI, it is like, I don't know, like what could whether you're it's almost like Terminator. It's like Terminator is like, it's like a physical like analogy, but it's also like a spiritual one of like what can hijack this. And
what's this logo here, Donovan?
Oh,
not to get into conspiracy theories.
Fruit, isn't it supposed to be the apple?
Isn't this the knowledge of good and evil?
Sure,
this phone right here.
I'm pretty sure that is kind of, I don't know. I've heard varying accounts of what that is, and I have heard that it, and with the way that people like who are, you know, let's say elitist in their thinking, the way that they usually go is they do, whether it's like a punk thing where they're like, oh, but it's very ironic either way.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it is the kind of thing where it's like, what can hijack this and then turn it against? And you don't want to be like a stickler, you don't want to be a stick in the mud, and you don't want to be behind the times, but at the same time you look at this stuff and you're just like, ooh, this is crazy.
I think you just need to have your guard up and how you use it. I
don't believe in throwing it out wholesale.
But it is weird. There are some weird stuff, and maybe we could have somebody on that talk about some of that, because that would be interesting.
This got really real fast.
Not really real. Sorry, it's supposed to be a fun, happy Halloween
happy
episode.
Halloween, everybody.
I'm Yukon Jordelius.
Can we get some ghosts and something else? Ghosts and scarecrows, and the classic vampires.
This is the first time we've done this live in a while, and I really need to take a piece. So we're going to go to it's not necessarily just a 1. There may be a 2 involved.
Oh my gosh!
So we're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be back with Vlad the Vampire.
Spoiler alert.
When you wanna look dapper, smell like a man on the rise. Phoenix Shaving Selection is the ultimate prize. Artisan fragrances for every taste so refined. With shaving soaps and razors you're sure to find. Manly aftershaves, making waves, oh what a sensation. At Phoenix Shaving, it's a gentleman destination. Beard bombs, mustache wax, every toiletry you desire. You'll smell so good, you'll set hearts on fire. The finest scents and brushes that you crave. Oh, at Phoenix Shaving, we've got everything to shave. With each lather, each stroke, feel like royalty anew. You'll smell so good, they'll come flocking to you. So don't wait another moment. Head on over without delay. Go to shave.gentlemanscofflaw.com. Seize the day. Get your hands on these treasures. Make them yours today. With Phoenix shaving, you'll lead the way. You'll smell so good. You'll just set hearts on fire. Go to shave.gentlemanscofflaw.com to help support the show.
Oh my goodness. Where'd Jordan go?
Hello, Donovan. Thank you. Thank you so much for
gosh.
having me
Oh.
back on the podcast. I'm sad I got to miss Jordan again.
Yeah, well, Vlad, you know what? I knew you were coming on, but I didn't even recognize you for a second. I mean, you've
Yes.
the last 4 years has been very interesting for you, I guess.
Very kind for me. You say something kind for me?
Does everything have to be posed like a question with you? I don't
You,
get it.
you say, last time I listened to your episode about the rocking, as you say, the rocking, and I've been doing a little bit of rocking. And so I feel like perhaps maybe, the 4 years has been kind to me.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's good for your joints and everything else. And looks like your widow's peak is still very much in full form.
Thank you.
I'm sure
Thank you
you're
very much.
using some of that. What is it? Nutrafol, maybe.
Nutrafol,
Yeah.
yes, that is what I use. I did lose a little bit since last time we talked, but the Nutrafol, I listened to, so many podcasts like the Joe Rogan Experience and
All right.
the Theo Van Experience and Tiger Belly. Big fan.
Andrew Schultz Experience.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
Andrew
crazy,
Schultz and Flagrant, and I'm very into the improvisational comedy world.
That's you know what they say, improv is a great way to sort of open up your range. So I wish you the best with that.
Yes, and it's very good for life lessons. Just like I just said, yes, and I added to what you were saying. I added the life lesson part to it. That's what we call yes anding in improv.
You know what? I lived in LA too. Don't lecture me on improv, please.
I'm not lecturing, Donovan.
You know what? Honestly, Vlad, you don't get to hijack this interview because I feel like the last time we talked, you did some very weird things to me, and it took a lot of blood transfusions and it took a lot of stuff to get over. Okay, you just can't quite get over somebody biting your neck like that. So it's not.
Well, sorry, Donovan. I want to be friends.
Yeah, well,
that's my way of saying
course,
that I like you. I want to be friends. That's how we in the vampire world, we kill other people so they become our friends.
That makes a lot of sense.
I am very sad it didn't take. But how have you been sleeping?
Fine, I guess. A little bit. Now that I got
that's a shame.
You're not watching me while I sleep, are you?
Who's to say?
I guess. Gosh,
I am able to shrink down very small, and I am a vampire. I can become a bat at any point I choose, and I see many things that
there's a lot.
I'm
going to say, Vlad, there's a lot about vampires that seems a little hazy. Like there's a lot of the lore that seems to we've gone from Dracula the book to Dracula the movie to I don't know, like Twilight and like all the not to mention Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula in 1992, and then we have Vampire Diaries and Twilight, and then I don't know, whatever else. I can't keep any of the lore straight anymore, particularly. But I mean, one thing is like, what's with your teeth? Like, I always imagined that vampires. Did you have two incisors the last time I saw you?
No, I've always had the one. I was born with a vampire birth defect. It's very common, and sometimes you get born with one,
Did
which
kids
is
make fun of you
probably
for that on the vampire
a
playground?
little bit. It
Yeah.
was a lonely
They call
childhood,
you
I
freak
will
show
admit.
and kind of, and like one tooth pony and all
Yes,
that stuff. A little long in the
they called me
tooth.
One Fang Vlad. They called
Yeah.
me not a real vampire, which is probably
Mm,
why last time I beat you, it didn't take so well.
Yeah. Well, I'm still very cautious, which is why we're not doing this interview in person. But
That's okay. I understand. It's 2024. Zoom is the new thing, right?
well, there's Zoom, there's Riverside, there's all sorts of things. But I will say, it's been a while since we've talked. What's been what have you been up to the last couple of years?
It's been very lonely in my castle.
Mm-hmm.
It's always very empty by myself. I try to stay occupied with different hobbies and different interests.
Mm-hmm.
There was a point where I was selling NFTs on the internet. I made some money. I lost some money.
Oh boy.
Uh, Mostly beer money,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't drink beer. So I was able to upgrade some of the castle a little bit, put a bigger screen in the coffin room.
Mm-hmm.
That has been very nice, so I could stream my episodes of Kill Tony.
That's fun. Do you have like how do you watch it if you're in the coffin? If you're in the coffin room?
That was one of the upgrades that I worked on. Was I put a little section that is like a tinted window,
Okay.
so I can still, sit at an angle and turn my head and still see the television.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say that was one of the lore things that I was actually interested in, is that you guys don't actually sleep when you're in the coffin, right?
No,
You just like kind
it's
of
more of a rest.
yeah, you just kind of
Sometimes,
chill out.
especially as an older vampire, me, as I've gotten into my late 300s, I've
Mm-hmm.
been having a little bit of joint pain
Mm,
and some creaks here and there.
yeah,
And so the coffin, it helps for that. I upgraded also with the NFT money. I got a pillow top coffin insert. That's been very nice.
that sounds pretty nice. That's always nice to make things a little bit more comfortable. Well, in terms of other things, I guess I have to talk to you for this time, and Jordan probably won't be back for a while, because whenever he goes, what happens whenever he goes
I see a lot of things, and I see that Jordan perhaps has some problems internally.
you know what? It's either I don't really we don't really talk about that stuff here on the pod. Honestly, it's kind of,
Okay.
even when he brings it
I'll
up,
get
I'm
to
a
say
little like,
excuse.
hey, you know what? Keep it in the bathroom, and that's fine. So I'd rather you especially not talk about it. He's my friend, and I'd appreciate it.
Jordan, he's kind of weird though. He likes to use the toilet with the door open.
So I guess in that case, you don't.
Earlier, you were talking about things that creep me
Yeah,
out. That is one of them
Vlad,
for
are you
sure.
just around us all the time? I mean, what
I'm
I will say, like, it doesn't help that Jordan's using. If what you're saying is true, if he's using the bathroom with the door open, it's a problem, obviously, for privacy generally. But are you just like listening all the time? Like, what's the deal? Like,
I see. I have so much time on my hands and so many years as a vampire.
yeah.
You have to find things to do. Not many, it doesn't take me long to fly to a new place. I can get anywhere I want, and I can be very small as a bat. I see so many things.
Does it save a lot of time to be able to fly everywhere? Does it
It
like?
does.
Yeah.
It does save some time.
Do you what?
It is a little tiring sometimes, but for the
Get a little
most
bit of
part,
jet
I
lag.
get to see a lot of interesting things, things nobody ever sees.
Okay, well, in that case, I guess I would ask you, just because you're here, not because I'm actually really interested in what you've seen. Because you're kind of, I don't know, you're giving off a little bit of a pervy vibe. I'll be
How
honest.
can you say that to
I
me,
don't know.
Donovan? We're friends.
No, I
You
don't
and me
think.
were
I think
friends.
we've got some. Let's just say we've got some rebuilding to do between the two of us, Vlad. But if I were to, as a professional, because I need to ask you questions, what are some of the more interesting things that you've seen?
So I can visit anyone, and I can be very small. I can hide in the window.
Okay.
I can hide in the corner.
So
I can be
I
under a
know
bed.
that, Vlad. I know it. But so in this case, like let's just say, like topically, like I guess we're in the middle of an election, right? Okay, so like
Yes.
let's just say, do you have any? Do you have any? Let's just put it this way. Do you have any insight into certain political candidates? Do you have
Yes,
anything to say
very
about
much.
that?
I watch everything.
Okay. Yes.
Every single candidate I have spent time with. And the problem is the American people don't know how terrible all these candidates are
Oh
for
boy.
the country.
Oh my goodness. Are you the anonymous sources on a lot of these articles that are coming
Perhaps,
out? Okay.
maybe.
Okay.
I don't want to incriminate, but
Okay.
I won't say no.
All right, well let's explore some of these like when you say that you have access to certain political candidates, what would you say? What are some of them? What could you give us? This is, I guess, we're rearing up on the end of October, so can you give us an
Yes.
October surprise here and there with
Oh,
this?
yes. I've got several October surprises. Okay.
Let's start with let's go ahead. Why don't you start us with we'll just start with the presidential candidates. How about Kamala Harris?
Okay, Kamala Harris. She is not what you think. Okay. So the other day, I was on her campaign bus. It's hiding in the corner. I could be very small. I can hide in small places.
What were you hiding as this time?
As a bat. But
do you ever hide as anything other than a bat, though?
No, always a bat.
In this case, like, could you hide as like a campaign button?
No, only a bat. But people don't notice bats when we are hanging in the corner.
I don't know. If I saw a bat on a campaign bus, I think I'd be a little concerned.
I don't make too much noise.
You just sort of blend in with the interior of the bus.
Nobody's there. I hide behind a curtain.
It's all charcoal, anyways. I mean, that's always the design of these things. It's always like fabric charcoal. Okay, so you're on Kamala Harris's campaign bus. I'm actually starting to get legitimately curious here. What did you see, Vlad? Because honestly, what you say here, this could actually be really big for the podcast. I will say this could be big for the pod, Vlad. Yes. This could bring you back as like a recurring.
Does it mean me friends?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Give you a good October surprise?
Not yet. But if you actually give us some good dirt on these people, it could be pretty big, and it could make you, like, let's just say, I don't know, political commentator. We start to like get a little bit of ad revenue in there, a little bit of
good. I could go on.
Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Okay. What did you see, Vlad?
So it was after one of the rallies, okay? She was on, I don't know if you've been on campaign bus, but sometimes there's a little dining nook.
I've never been on a campaign bus, actually. So I'll take your word for it.
So she was sitting at the dining nook. Mm-hmm. She was having some of her celestial seasonings bedtime tea.
Okay. Is that the one with the sleepy bear on it?
Yes, sleepy time
with like little sleeping cap and everything.
Yes, exactly. So she was sitting there. She was watching some Netflix on her iPad.
I would have taken Kamala as more of like a sleeping pill, and maybe like, I don't know, like Prime Video person, but
No,
whatever.
it's all tea. It's all tea and
Okay,
Netflix.
all right. Well, that's disappointing.
She was sitting there. The assistant gave her tea,
Mm-hmm.
and she's sitting there. She's watching the Netflix. She goes to drink the tea,
Okay.
but then she realized she still have her gum, her chewing gum, in her mouth.
Okay.
So she takes it out and she puts it on the side of her teacup.
Okay.
She sticks it on side of her teacup,
Uh-huh.
and she drink the tea
Okay.
with the gum right there on the teacup.
So-
Monsters, Donovan. And I know
Okay.
monsters.
Okay. All right. So what happened next?
She just went about her business like nothing ever happened.
Okay, so let me get this straight. So she had some tea, was watching Netflix while chewing gum, and she put gum on the edge of the cup and drank the tea
Yeah, she
while
just
it was
left it there.
on the lip of the
Left
cup.
it there like some sort of animal.
Okay. Not exactly the scoop I was hoping for. That's
It's an insight to character, Donovan.
I mean, I guess at the very least I could like maybe tell that story at a party or something if somebody wants to get some inside baseball and politics.
Do you want me to tell you about Donald J. Trump?
Sure. Let's see if I mean, I guess you see so much, maybe like maybe there'll actually be a bullet in one of the chambers here. All right, let's go
Yes,
for it.
okay.
Go ahead and hit me.
So I was backstage at one of the rallies, okay? And he and his team had just finished their takeout lunch.
Okay. What did they
McDonald's.
have? They had McDonald's. Okay.
McDonald's.
That checks out. Okay, I'm starting to believe that you were actually there. That's
So
now
behind
wait, what did
stage,
Trump have though?
it looked to be some sort of cheeseburger, fries,
Maybe
and a
maybe
Diet
Big
Coke.
Mac. Okay, Diet Coke. That's important. I mean, this is not unknown to the public, so you're gonna have to give me a little bit more. But okay, so this is backstage. They were having their campaign lunch or whatever.
So when they're done, they finish. They put they take the stuff off the table. And back there was a garbage area. And the garbage where there are like 2-3 different garbages. One is for waste. One is for plastic recycling. The other is for cans.
Yeah.
So he took his can of Diet Coke. He only drinks the cans because he can't have an open drink. He could be poisoned, right?
Of course, yeah.
He goes and throws out all of his garbage from his lunch, and he takes the can and he puts it in the plastic recycling. It's metal, Donovan. It's supposed to go in the can recycling.
Is it really? I guess is it really metal or is it aluminum?
Aluminum is a type of metal.
Are you sure about that?
I'm pretty sure. I'm not a scientist.
You're probably right. You know what? I'm glad you're humble, at least with that. That once again, Vlad. Wow. Not only am I
blood and honey. I like this. Does this have real blood in it?
Not only am I, you know what? I'm gonna say the FDA probably wouldn't allow that, but I'll
that's a shame. I probably am going to have the runs later.
Well, okay. Well, you're so far you're 0 for 2, okay? Because not only was that maybe even worse than I don't know. Is it? I guess at the end of the day, is anybody really surprised that Trump wouldn't properly recycle? I mean, who really properly recycles these days?
He took it, he looked at it, and went. He looked at the 3 of them, and he examined, and he went, this one, and threw it in there like it was no big deal.
Okay. Well, I'm so happy that you're breaking these on our channel, that you're using this valuable airtime to break these stories, Vlad. What if you were to let's just say you've got access probably to everybody in Washington. If you were to pick maybe let's just say one more person that you could maybe give us a little bit of a scoop on, who would it be? One more chance, Vlad.
We'll talk about RFK Jr.
Oh boy.
RFK, okay?
Okay.
I was also at one of his campaign headquarters.
Okay.
Now, this was before he had dropped out of the race, but now he is part of Trump's cabinet, so it's important.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's actually been quite a few headlines with RFK Jr. in them, so he seems to be a popular topic amongst the news, so you could really hit it big.
So what happens is one of its interns brings him some goodies, some snacks for him to eat. One of them was Welch's fruit snacks, okay? It was a brand new box of Welch's fruit snacks. And he took the box, okay?
Yeah.
And he opened it. He just opened it. He tore it apart. He did not leave the little tab together at the top that lets you close and seal the box after you use it. He left it completely ripped, as if he had opened it like a raccoon or an animal.
Okay. Was anybody else going to use this after he used it?
Probably everybody. And I know the packets of Welch's are individually packaged, but what if it was a box of cereal or Cheez-Its?
I honestly, I will give you this, Vlad. I've never actually bought a box of Welch fruit snacks the way that you're talking about it, and I totally forgot that they actually individually packaged them inside the big box. So there's something about that. I can tell. Okay, so. I can tell this is causing you a lot of pain.
Because the public don't know what is going on with these people.
This is huge. This is going to bring down the system. Is unrelated question. Is it possible that the person that that bit you and made you a vampire however long ago, I'm assuming that that's how it happened. Is it possible that they had some sort of OCD that is like
OCD?
What's
this
OCD?
Mean? I don't understand OCD.
Are you serious? Like, you've been around in this world, like in this, I mean, how long have you been alive, Vlad?
I'd say about 300 years.
And you've never heard of OCD?
No.
Scruples,
what is
maybe?
This? Scruples.
Oh my gosh!
Never heard of it.
Wow!
I don't get out of
next
the
time. Maybe
much.
you should uninstall that screen and maybe go to sleep with like a dictionary or something under your pillow. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and in the interview there, I will say I'm very grateful for the contributions you've made, Vlad.
So it's over.
No more. I mean, it's not over yet.
What?
I haven't I haven't ended the interview just yet. But
what are you doing for lunch after this? Where are you going?
I am probably.
Chipotle
you know what?
sound good?
I'm actually I'm fasting for the foreseeable future, so I actually am not going to be doing lunch. So
perhaps maybe we meet for some drinks, for some.
I also sober October and November, so I'm not going to be able to do that either.
I get it.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, Donovan. I understand. Okay.
Yeah. No,
you and me will never be friends.
No, it's just I honestly, I'm very busy, Vlad. I just got married. I'm Jordan and I are doing the podcast. There's a lot going on, and also I don't want to make you come to me and all that stuff. So why don't you just I'll text you one of these days and we'll figure something out. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Text me in the coffin. Okay.
I will.
Maybe we could do a group watching of something on Netflix.
That actually, you know what? That actually sounds like a lot of fun. Just as long as it's remote. that'll be good.
Okay. Bye, Dunleavy.
All right, Vlad. You have a good I don't know, next couple of years. Okay, you're not muted. I don't know. That was awkward. Oh my goodness. Goodness gracious. He is just a wow. Vlad is quite the character, isn't he? I mean, I was expecting something. Oh boy. All right. Well,
Scofflaws. I want to take a second to tell you about our awesome sponsor, Mountain Tough Fitness Labs. Now, if you're like me and you just love being outside or just want to challenge yourself with functional workouts, then listen up. Have you ever felt like your usual workout just isn't cutting it? Maybe you're getting bored with it. Maybe you're prepping for your next big hunt or a Go Ruck challenge. Or maybe you're just trying to get fit so you can handle your kiddos and be around for them for a long time, or have the energy to do all the things that they want to do and be there for them. Well, that's where Mountain Tough comes in. Mountain Tough Fitness Labs offers online training programs designed specifically for mountain athletes, hunters, ruckers, or anyone who just loves a challenge. Now, these workouts aren't your run-of-the-mill routines. They've been tested in the rugged mountains of Montana to boost your mental toughness, physical endurance, and just overall strength. Whether it's rucking through tough terrain or sandbag training for practical strength, Mountain Tough has your back. Literally. See what I did there? Because, if you train, your back and core is stronger. And so technically, literally, they have your back because they're helping build your back and your core strength. Anyway, what I love is that you can do these routines from anywhere with minimal equipment and just the app on your smartphone or smart TV. Personally, my favorite is their SB20 sandbag program, because all you need is a ruck, sandbag, and a kettlebell, and you're just off to the races. They also have programs for every level of fitness, so don't get intimidated. Wherever you are in your fitness journey, they have a program for you. Plus, you'll join a community of like-minded folks who are all about pushing their limits and bettering themselves, keeping you engaged and accountable throughout the process. So, are you ready to take your training to the next level? If so, head over to train.gentlemanscofflaw.com and get your free 2-week trial. Again, that's train.gentlemanscofflaw.com, or just click the link in the show notes. Mountain Tough Fitness Labs. Stay dangerous and always be ready for what life throws your way.
All right. I guess we lost Donovan here. Oh, there he is. Still figuring out the kinks in this live stream. How's it going for you guys in the chat? I think we lost Donovan's audio feed.
I'm here. I just muted myself. Okay, I actually, funny story, and this is going to be a little bit of a kink in the stream, but I just realized how much I actually need to go to the bathroom myself. Vlad scared me so much that I was like, I really actually need to. So I will be right back. Give me 30 seconds.
You'll be right back. Okay. You know what I'll do is I'll go to a little segment that we like to call
Listener Mail.
All right. This is the part of the show where we get to interact with you, the listener. You can interact with us on all sorts of different platforms. Tonight, we're interacting on our live chat, which is pretty cool. But also, throughout the week, you could interact with us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. All the places that we're at. I don't know if we keep up with our TikTok, but Instagram, Facebook, you could send us an email at show@gentlemanscofflaw.com. You could also leave us a voicemail by calling man81scoff, or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That helps, boost our show, and also ends up, giving us a little bit of stuff to talk about on the show. I'm going to read some comments in the chat here on the YouTube chat. Michael Ybarra, he says, spiritual warfare is very real. I'm with you on that, Don. That is very true. I believe the same. I do find that it's very interesting that, and not to knock people that don't have any view of spirituality, but it is interesting
stop
to
talking about
put all your
Christopher
eggs in
Hitchens
that
that way.
basket. To put all your eggs in that basket and to claim that that there's nothing, there's not a supernatural realm, because we know that we know very little, I would say. Michael Ybarra, is it Ibarra?
Yeah.
He was saying that he agrees with you that spiritual warfare is very real.
And I will actually say, look into it, because I feel like it's like there's like a weird pendulum where it's like we know very little and we also know a lot. Like there's a lot that's been revealed about all this stuff that's very but you're right, Jordan, in the grand scheme of things, we are very, very small. So which is to say, I never thought I'd be interviewing a vampire on a regular basis like I am every time that you end up
What's his tooth doing here?
Yeah. Scurvy. That's probably it. That's probably what he had. You know,
malnourished vampire.
All he had to do is drink some gin and tonic. It's just the modern day grog. Tell you what.
Is that what that is? Okay.
Yeah, that was
I don't know.
The British would drink it to ward off malaria, but I'm pretty sure that the sailors would drink some sort of rum and lime. I don't know. But vampires, maybe he could put some lime in the blood that he drinks, in the Bloody Mary or the red snapper that he drinks every Sunday or something. I don't know.
That would be. I feel like that would be helpful for vampires.
Yeah.
I got another comment here. Marshall again says, "Wow, your secret love child is scary." Thank you for that, Marshall. He's talking about our AI voice model based on the two of us.
Yeah, that was a little freaky, I will say.
You know what we should do is we should have that voice call both of our wives.
Oh my gosh, it's just like, that's
just to see like what the response would be, like do like a pre-recorded thing.
I don't think my wife would be too. My wife would not be too happy. Let's just put it that way. It would be a perfect Halloween prank.
Yeah, it would be pretty good. Maybe we'll try that. Maybe we'll bring back the prank phone call. Although we didn't do prank phone calls, we just called my dad and mom randomly.
We did. We just called random people, which can be valuable in its own right.
Yeah, definitely. Here we've got another one from my dad. He says the Quint costume is perfect. Yukon Cornelius is always a crowd pleaser.
Yukon Cornelius, he's all about silver and gold.
Gold.
Yeah.
It's a go-to costume when I run out of ideas because I don't have to do too much. So I'm also being lazy too, Donovan.
Hey, you know what I say? Sometimes, that as an adult, do you really want to be putting that much thought into your costume? I don't know.
I don't think so. Put more thought into what you wear every day. That'll probably go further than your Halloween costume.
Yeah.
Are we still streaming here? I'm trying to make sure. It says Amber, one more ingestion using the primary URL. Send one stream to the primary URL. I don't know what URL. I don't know what that means.
URL.
If you guys are still watching, can you?
I have the stream up on YouTube, and it looks like it's still going strong. Okay. So looks like there's at least 4 watching us right now. So
okay, if you can hear us, leave a comment in the chat. We also got Zach May said, "What's up, gents?" And Zach actually was in our listener mail bucket for this week. He had a question. He said, in the episode where y'all were talking about the Clark's Chukka boots, you mentioned you use stretchy laces. I was wondering if you knew which ones you used and liked. So the answer is I ordered them on Amazon, and they're called the Original Stretched original stretch lace, and I'll put a link into the show notes when we upload this to Spotify and all the pods and on the website. They're super cool. They look like real shoelaces because some of the stretch laces, I don't know if you've seen, Donovan, they look like, they don't look like real laces. These ones look like real laces, and they have them in every color.
Yeah, I've never actually really messed around with stretch laces, but obviously that sounds desirable, and that does sound good for desert boots because there's a lot of room in there. That tongue can slip around,
Yeah,
good stuff.
You just slip them right on. I do that with my with a lot of my. I don't wear a lot of sneakers, but my Vans, I turn them into slip-ons. I like that. I've got a pair of New Balance, like the old suede ones. I forget what they've got a number on them. I forget which ones they are, but they're like the suede runners, the kind that Spielberg wears. I've got the pair of those
New Balance, those Spielberg New Balance. Like, is that like the new Yeezys? Is like the Spielbergs, and it's just the New Balance. That's funny.
Yeah, but I thought about putting them on my boots, but I haven't tried that yet on other boots because I feel like they'd be too heavy for the stretch and they'd stretch out too much. Maybe. But I don't know. It'd be worth trying.
Yeah, maybe one of these days an experiment is in order.
On my Thursdays, I switched to more like work boot style laces that are nylon, and I had my cobbler put speed hooks on them so that rather than the leather laces that took forever to stretch out,
can everybody just tie them back. Can everybody just can you take a moment and appreciate the fact that Jordan just said his cobbler? Which honestly, I will say I do really appreciate. I know it's funny. It is really funny, but it's funny only because it's out of place. We all need a good cobbler in our lives these days.
A good tailor,
and when I say that, cobbler, I don't mean a dessert. I mean a good barber, shoe man.
Those are all the things. Maybe we should do an article and episode on all the different.
We need to find a good cobbler, and we need to interview him. Because there's
I'll talk to my guy at D's Shoe Repair down in Oklahoma City on Classen.
There's so much information that we can gather from these masters of the shoe.
And it's the whole thing, like the idea of, like you buy once, you cry once kind of thing, because I just had one repair, a couple of mods I wanted to do to my boots, and it cost me all for everything for him to clean, repair a tear I had, and to shine them up and put the speed laces. It was like $20-something bucks. It's like not that expensive, for a $200 pair of boots that just needed a little bit of a refresh. The soles are still good on it.
I think the thing that always bugs me is whenever you go into like a tailor and you're just like, okay, how much is this going to cost? Like, can I like get an idea of how much this is going to cost me? And they're just like, no, you just come down and we do this. And I'm like, okay, great. It's going to be like $75. Okay, fine. I mean, which is fine, like for certain things, but like can't let it run away. I do have a pretty good tailor who's kind of like that, but you would like just a nice little price up front for just what you're asking for.
So I'm going to admit right here how much of a dweeb I am. I can see this earmuff on my peripheral vision, and I thought somebody was coming up behind me. All this creepy talk has got me afraid of my earmuffs.
Priming your pistol in your lap the whole time.
Yeah.
My goodness. That is kind of weird. It is weird when I've had that happen to me, but not in that I don't wear earmuffs. Have I ever worn earmuffs in my entire life? That is a good question. But either way, I've had that happen to me where there's like, you know what? It's sunglasses. Sometimes sunglasses will do that to me. If I'm wearing a new pair or something, or a pair I don't really usually wear, I'll have that like weird little periphery thing, and I'll just be like, what the hell was that? Oh yeah, that's my
it is strange when you think sometimes you see your shadow or something too, and you get freaked out by it.
Spooky.
I'm not a super skittish guy, but I think all this talking about creepy stuff and criminals and demons and AI ghosts and vampires has got me on a little bit on edge.
Well, you are in
like
an
studio
empty
by myself.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, and there's a tornado warning
That's
coming
true.
through. I just gotta. So we probably need to wrap.
Every time you
up.
put on those the earmuffs, you thought a tornado was coming around the corner. You're like, oh shit! I can't hear the alarm, and I'm just so zoned in. I'm so interested in what Donovan's saying. Oh my God, the tornado stuck up right behind me.
Right behind me,
Geez.
right through the studio door.
We all know they like to enter. They like to, much like the T-Rex at the end of Jurassic Park. They like to be polite the way that they enter, not make a lot of noise, and then just sneak up on the Velociraptor.
Yeah. I'll wrap it up by saying happy International Corncob Pipe Month. Obviously, that starts on November 1st. So crack out your corncob pipes. Get something from Missouri Meerschaum. Not a sponsor, but I just highly like their product. And maybe they could become a sponsor. Phil Morgan, if you're listening, if you nobody's still involved at Missouri Meerschaum, we'd love to be able to give you guys a shout out on every episode if you'd be interested.
It's a great place to start. I'll say that much. I think one of my first pipes was Missouri Meerschaum. So
yeah, it's a great. I've got pipes. My first pipe that I ever smoked was a Missouri Meerschaum. Still got it. Still use it. And people think of them as disposable things, but you could keep one for years if you just take care of it. So
classic.
And that kind of funnels into the Texas Pipe Shows coming up November 9th in Midlothian, Texas, which is about an hour south of Dallas, Fort Worth area, I believe. I'll be heading up there to meet some people in the pipe community, see some cool pipe makers. I know that John David Cole is there, a friend of the show. Possibly Adam Floyd. I'm not sure where he's at on having his baby or how far along he is. I don't know if he'll make it out there, but it'll be a good time. If you happen to be in the Texas DFW area, you want to come hang out and smoke a pipe, I'll be there. We're talking about possibly recording an episode there. I know you're probably not going to be able to make it, but you might be able to make it from remote.
I could. You're right. I could. You could put me on an iPad and then have me kind of wander around on like a Roomba, and I could just be yelling at people about AI.
Just dressed as a mannequin like Donovan.
Yeah. I did a deep dive on AI this week. Who wants to talk about it? No. I hope I can make it. Maybe, possibly. I'm becoming the no man these days because every once in a while something pops up and I'm like, oh gosh, I've got to like really think before I commit to this. But who knows? Maybe I can make it, but if not, I will.
If you want,
I would like to make
to the
remote
pipe show. Go ahead and say so now. If we have enough people that we want Donovan at the pipe show, he's going to come.
If anybody knows me there, it'll be hilarious. That actually might be the one benefit of having remote is having a monitor with me just on there, and I'm not even looking. Actually, okay. Here's what we do: you set up a monitor facing whoever's coming by the booth and just have me on there, and I'll just be like scrolling YouTube or watching YouTube videos and reacting to that, not seeing whoever is on the other end of that monitor, and that'll be my interaction. Like then you can always just give me a little like nudge, like a little digital nudge whenever I need to, actually acknowledge somebody.
That'd be awesome. We'll just put you on a mannequin, tape you the iPad to your face, and just frame you up so it's just your face there.
It's all a simulation, anyways.
You'll be like the Reagan simulation at the Reagan Library, the hot 3D hologram, but much more crappy.
That sounds like a great way to be immortalized. I like it. I like it.
And yeah, if you guys want to support the show, go ahead and join us on Patreon. You could even follow us on Patreon if you don't want to, if you're not ready to pay for one of the subscriptions, because we still post things on there. We'll be posting more. The idea behind testing out the live stream is that we could do a whole episode. Y'all get to be involved in real time, but then also we don't have to do much editing work in post, because before it was kind of a lot of editing work, but now we could also post this out to YouTube, reach a wider audience, put it on different platforms. So we're just trying to get the word out there. If you want to support us on Patreon, if you want to just do a one-time thing and just get some merch from the shop, that's another way to do that. And of course, always leaving reviews on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. That's always a huge help.
Can also be fun to watch us get drunk in real time. Like honestly, like that's one of the big benefits of this podcast, that can document some of us getting a little bit tight. Especially when we haven't had dinner and then you have like a couple drinks and you're just like, ooh, this is starting to be a nice little evening here. Let's go. But no, these live streams, honestly, just a plug, I will say live streams, I've found it to be a lot of fun. It can be like just one of the best ways to just sort of set something in the background. And you don't even have to watch them while they're happening live. You can basically just watch the recording later, and it can be a good old time. Yeah.
Good old time. Like the Flintstones. So thanks again for joining us. Those of you who join us live, thank you for those who listen to us on afterwards on all of the podcast platforms. And we hope you guys have a happy Halloween. Send us your pictures of your costumes so we could share them on Instagram. We'd love to see some of those. And Donovan, you are a gentleman and a scofflaw, my friend.
And you are a scofflaw and a gentleman and not a vampire.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I just like to tell people that during this season, just to let them know that they're not a vampire.
I appreciate that. And you guys have a great week.
This has been the Gentleman's Scofflaw Podcast. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcatcher. Support the show at patreon.com/gentscofflaw.
Captain says, his eyes on the river, we ain't getting home if we don't break through. So damn cold, I can't help but shiver. Rise and shine, we got work to do. Hey! Captain says, his eyes on the river, we ain't getting home if we don't break through. So damn cold, I can't help but shiver.